At the time of recording this video, they haven't even announced a September Direct yet, much less do we know what they're going to unveil to our Nintendo Switch-loving selves. But you know what? There's an extremely high chance that based on rumors as well as past precedent, we'll see it in September, and at that, probably within a week or two, and at that, probably this week. May even be announced already, who knows? But in any case, when the September Direct happens, what will it cover? Some of these things are likely, some are just about guaranteed, and others are almost impossible, and everything in between. So, should be a good old time. Let's talk about it. Alright, jumping right into it, and stick around to the end of the video because we'll have a guest cameo in here at some point. First off, Nintendo has started and ended almost every Nintendo Switch era Direct with a new first-party game, or at least a Smash character reveal, especially lately, and I don't think this one will be any different. So, while the middle predictions are in no particular order, I'll start and end with the ones I think they'll be doing in that order. I'm hoping for a slightly off-the-wall opening game, and my guess for it is a new 1080 snowboarding game. We've only seen two of these ever, one on the N64 and the other 1080 Avalanche on the GameCube, which is somewhat embarrassingly tangentially related to how I eventually got into listening to a lot of the music I enjoy today. I put so much time into that game though, and I loved it. The franchise is already less arcadey than SSX, but also much less simulation heavy than Steep, for example. I think we'll get a little bit more of both in this title, more and better trick-based slopes, but also with even more race levels, including some retro returning ones in the same style as Mario Kart does, and finally, online gameplay obviously integrated. The game will be given a release window of winter 2020 and will launch towards the end of February. Fairly early on, I think they'll announce some new DLC for Super Mario Maker 2. Some of this will be small additions to the game, like enemies, items, or mechanics, but also the return of 100-man mode, and finally, an additional style, which will likely be Super Mario Bros. 2. Super Mario Land 2 has a chance as well, but I think that'll come later. This will be a patch that'll come before the end of September for free. Last year, Square Enix had a major blowout on classic games, and I think we'll see some of the remnants of that this year. We'll finally get a date for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which will be November 2019. Next, we'll see some of the classic Kingdom Hearts games finally come up in a pack of some sort. Kingdom Hearts 3 will not be mentioned at all, however. We will then get a brief look at a new game from the Octopath Traveler team. Just a teaser trailer and no date given, just showing us that they have something new in the works. 3 weeks ago, I talked about Wii U games coming up to the Switch, and I think one of them will be announced this year, but may not actually come out during the calendar year. And that will be Pikmin 3. This game will have online co-op functionality added in, and otherwise will be basically the same game. For more details on other Wii U games I think would be fun to bring up to the Switch, go watch that video. I think Pikmin 3 could launch in January of 2020, or maybe as early as holiday this year, but that's a little bit unlikely at this point. This trailer will end in a tiny teaser for Pikmin 4 being in development, which we've known it is forever, but we'll just confirm for all of us to enjoy Pikmin 3 in the meantime, rather than be specifically mad that it's not Pikmin 4. At some point, we will definitely see a certain kind of trailer, and that is for Smash Bros. Fighters Pass characters. Since we already know Banjo is coming, let's talk about that. At some point, we'll see a date trailer for Banjo, I'm guessing to be October, and then we'll get a trailer for a shadow drop of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie shadow dropping on the eShop today. At some point later, we'll also get the fourth DLC character announced. Now, there's been a lot of rumors lately about what this is, and I do buy in that it could very well be an SNK character. Unfortunately, I don't know many of those very well, so I don't have a whole lot to add to that conversation, but I think it could very well tie in with the upcoming Samurai Showdown game. I think we'll first get a trailer for Samurai Showdown with a release date, then transition into a Smash character reveal of one of the classic or most popular characters from that game. Let's just say it'll be Yukio Tachibana, because he has the most Fire Emblem-y blue hair, so that makes him that much more likely. I don't know, something like that. Continuing on with predictions based off of leaks, there's been a mountain of evidence supporting that now that Diablo has launched on the Switch, and incredibly successfully at that, Activision Blizzard will be bringing over their hero shooter Overwatch. Rumor has it that this will launch October 18th, and I don't see any reason to believe otherwise here. I do, however, not think that Tracer will be the fourth Smash fighter, as that one rumor would suggest. This is not because it would be entirely outlandish for this to happen, but rather, I just don't believe that specific leak, as it's a bit on the nose for my liking. That said though, the game won't run exactly the same as it does on PS4, Xbox, or mid to high-end PCs, but will run a lot better on the Switch than the lower-end PCs that 20% of the player base is already using. Activision is starting to show up on the Switch now with Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and all that, and that's not a bad thing. Another third-party guess I have is that Capcom will keep doing what they've been doing, releasing more of their classic library at a slightly higher than hoped price. I'm thinking Devil May Cry 3 may show up, but also Breath of Fire Collection as a shadow drop, as well as a new Breath of Fire game. I also think that Switch-focused Monster Hunter game is inevitable, but I think that wouldn't be until after everything with Monster Hunter World has come to a bit more of a close. So at this point, I think we will also see a bunch more little third-party stuff, but I can't quite guess what all of that will be. But as far as smaller things go, the last smaller announcement will be that new systems will come to the Nintendo Switch Online, SNES, and hopefully also Game Boy and Game Boy Color. I think this will start up September 14th and will include 15 SNES games and 15 Game Boy games at launch. Unfortunately, I think this may come with a $10 upcharge per year, but here's hoping that's not the case. Like I said, I think their direct will end out with another big first-party game, but before I go into what that is, my friend Max Wright from Lootpots has a couple of extra thoughts to throw into the ring. Max is incredibly active on Twitter and is funny, informative, and very friendly, so go follow him there, at MaxLWright. Alright, here's Max.
The way I see it, the Nintendo Switch's library currently has 3 games that I deem to be white whales. These are games that we know exist and we want to see more of them. The thing is, we haven't seen or heard from these games since 2017. These games are Shin Megami Tensei 5, Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3. Shin Megami Tensei, which I'm going to call SMT from now on just because it's easier, is a JRPG series that started on the SNES in 1992 and eventually span off into the PlayStation exclusive Persona series. We first learned about SMT 5 at the Nintendo Switch reveal event in January of 2017, but then it was called Shin Megami Tensei Brand New Title, with the final name and a cinematic trailer shown off towards the end of 2017. Since then we've heard absolutely nothing. Whilst JRPG fans clamour for Persona 5 on Switch with no response from Atlus, maybe the next direct could be our first concrete look at SMT5. Metroid Prime 4 was announced at E3 2017 and gave hope to Metroid fans all across the globe, including me. Sadly, the game's development was scrapped and restarted as of late last year, ripping the hope out from under our feet. Now, I don't expect to see Metroid Prime 4 in a Nintendo Direct until at least E3 2020, but as the fate of the long-rumoured port of the Metroid Prime Trilogy is still in limbo, maybe there's a chance we could see that at the Direct instead. Rumours suggested that the game was already completed before September 2018 and was ready to be announced during that year's Game Awards, but it never showed up and has been mysteriously absent ever since. Now, I predict Metroid before every single Direct, but you know what? I've just got a really good feeling this time. Bayonetta 3 was announced during the 2017 Game Awards show alongside Switch ports of Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2. However, we only really got a short CGI teaser and confirmation that the game was in development. Since then, the only thing we've heard from developer Platinum Games is that development is going well. But now that their risky new IP, Astral Chain, is finally out, perhaps an upcoming Direct is the perfect time to start hyping us up for Bayo 3 with new footage and a release window. In the meantime, while you're still waiting for more news on Bayonetta 3, play Astral Chain. It's incredible. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, Max. Good stuff. Go give him a follow on Twitter and check out lootpots.com for Nintendo reviews, news, and another great podcast. So that brings us to our final announcement for the September Direct. Mario Odyssey 2. This certainly falls into conspiracy theory territory, but who doesn't love a bit of that? I think this game could be announced at some point for next year for one of several reasons. I believe Mario Odyssey has similar circumstances in terms of mechanics and content to Mario Galaxy. I suspect that they had so many ideas that they were going to do DLC, but decided since it was already a precedent to do a sequel of the 3D Mario, they may as well lean into it. In this initial reveal, we won't learn a whole ton about the game, but we will see that it is happening. I do think, though, that in the same way that Mario Odyssey was a throwback primarily to Super Mario 64, this one will in fact be a throwback to Super Mario Sunshine. Next year, it'll have been 3 years since the first Mario Odyssey, and that's definitely enough time for them to create new worlds and mechanics since they're already building off a pre-existing engine and concept. The Sunshine tie-in is speculative based off the fact that Isle Delfino was seemingly taken out of the first game at some point, and then I do think the watermelon image could genuinely have been a hint. overly hopeful as it may be. I even think Flood might make a cameo, but not throughout the whole game. But who knows? Feel free to award me points after the fact based on how much I got right or wrong. Hopefully some of this happens, but hopefully we also get some great surprises. It's always fun to predict this stuff, but be sure to hype responsibly. But that's what I think. What do you think? What are you most hoping will show up in this Direct? So let me know all of that and more in the comments below, and we'll talk about some of those on our podcast this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time at youtube.com/directly-to-you. Leave your comments below, and while you're down there, be sure to give a like to the video and subscribe to Fanatix4 for more videos like this every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, that's it from me. See you around.